Welcome back, everyone. So in the last video we changed the oil in my 2021 Harley Davidson Road King. That went pretty well. Everything's nice and snug. Haven't seen any leaks yet. Made a little bit of mess on the floor. That was it. Everything else was good to go. So in this video what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and conquer the primary fluid, which is right here. So what we're going to do is that there's a plug underneath of there. We'll pull that out. We'll drain it into our pan. We will remove that cover, inspect for damage, make sure everything is wearing right together. If there is kind of any damage inside that you can see, make sure you get that taken care of. And then we'll go ahead and clean that plug, wipe everything down, put a new ring, and fill it back up with the appropriate amount of fluid. I've already got the motorcycle up on a jack so that it's nice and balanced. Kind of spooky to do this. I've been doing this for a while now, using this thing, and it doesn't get any less scary that I'm going to drop my motorcycle. So it's already jacked up, it's nice and even, which is where you're going to want it. You're going to want it right in the center. That way the bike is nice and even, so you get an even fill line when you go to put your fluid back in there. And of course, as always, we're going to be consulting with our owner's manual, and we're going to read through this to make sure that we have everything that we need, that we get everything torqued right, and that everything is correct. So like I said in the last video, I don't have a nice fancy torque wrench, so I'm just going to be going off of feel, and I'm just going to be real gentle with it. As for fluid, in my motorcycle it's calling for 30 ounces wet or 34 ounces on a dry fill, and obviously we're going to be looking at that fill line right there. That's where you're going to want that to be. So either way, you're going to be using a whole bottle basically of this Formula Plus, depending on what kind of motorcycle you have and what your manual calls for. And then once we get that done, we'll get it all put back together. And like I say, right here it shows the instructions on how to put that together, how to replace that ring, and what you need to do. And of course I'm super excited because I just got this today. This is a Harley Davidson Willie G skull cover, so that's going to be replacing my plain Jane chrome one. So yeah, it should be pretty easy, straightforward, and fun to do. So let's go ahead and take a crack at it and see what we can do. Alright, so first things first, we go ahead and put our pan right under here, because you're going to need something to catch all that fluid. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our socket wrench and we're going to go ahead and loosen up that plug. So we'll go ahead and do that next. The bike's still a little bit warm, so that fluid should come out pretty easy. If your bike is hot, just don't burn yourself. Alrighty. So out comes that, and it's draining quite nicely into our pan, just like so. There's our plug. Got a little bit of metal on the end there, but it's not terrible. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and clean that up. There is thread sealant on this, so we are going to put thread sealant back on, and then of course we're going to replace that O-ring that's on there as well. So what we'll do is, while this is draining out, we'll go ahead and take off our cover, and then I'm going to probably clean this up off screen. So what I'm going to do next is I'll go ahead and take this cover off once I wipe my hands off. Alright, so let's go ahead and get our cover off. I believe this is a T27 bit, I think, so we'll go ahead and loosen all this up. Make sure you put your screws somewhere where they are not going to roll away on you, because the last thing you want is to have your stuff roll away. Doesn't look like there's any kind of Loctite or anything on here, so I don't know if that's something we're going to have to worry about, but Loctite is always recommended, especially loaded medium strength with stuff that you're going to be taking apart. So I'll set that right there. We'll go ahead and do the rest of these. Lost the bit on my thing. Okay. Jeez, that was on pretty good. Alrighty, make sure you catch your cover so that you don't just drop it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. Set it on something nice so you don't just scar it up. Alrighty, so now we have access to our clutch case and everything, so we're going to go ahead and look around and make sure that there's no wear and tear inside of there. It's going to be hard for you guys to see on a camera what I'm seeing, but I'm not really seeing much of anything. I am going to grab a flashlight and check just in case. But we've already got this done, so go ahead, look around, make sure all of this is wiped clean before you go to put your ring seal back on there. Harley Davidson does recommend that I think that you change these out. So that's what we'll do. We'll put a brand new ring onto our brand new cover once we get ready to go and do that. So like I say, go ahead, wipe all this down, inspect for damage, and then move on to the next part. Alrighty, so we've already gone ahead, looked around. We didn't find anything. I took a rag and I cleaned all the way around in there as much as I could, as much as I could reach. So the only thing that's really next to do is to go ahead and put our plug back in so we can get our fluid back in there. So this is your drain plug, brand new O-ring, so go ahead and just slip that on as so. Alrighty, just like that. And of course we are going to add some thread sealer to it to ensure that we don't have any leaks. Alright, that should be plenty. Go ahead and find the hole. Get this thing fit back in there. Alright, go ahead and take our wrench. Like I say, I don't have a fancy torque wrench or nothing, so if you don't have one, just go nice and gentle. Don't overdo it, because you'll strip the threads and you'll ruin this thing, and you definitely don't want to damage nothing. So Just go nice and easy. All right, that should be good. Next is we're going to go ahead and put in our fluid. My bike calls for 30 on wet and 34 on dry. So we're going to take our handy dandy little filler funnel, go ahead and stick that right in there. And if you got a regular funnel, you can use that too. So these bottles are 32 fluid ounces, as you can see right there. So we're just going to go ahead and add some in there. Just a little bit more. All right, so I've got about 2, maybe 3 ounces left. Try just to get a little bit more. You don't want to overfill this thing, so I'm trying real carefully to get it to the 30 that I need. That's about 30 right there. So go ahead and take your flashlight, look in there, make sure it's right at that fill line. I can see it right there where that bottom screw is, right in front of my finger, and that's about right. I am going to look at my directions real quick, like everyone else should, just to make sure that it is where it needs to be, and then we're going to go on from there. Alright, so I did check with my owner's manual where it needs to be at, where that fill line in the book is, and mine's just about perfect. I put about 30 ounces of fluid in there. So next is we're going to go ahead and start getting our cover back together. So what we can do there is we can take our stuff, let's say we'll take our brand new cover. Now honestly, okay, so make sure that you get it right side up. If you got text like this, it's pretty easy to get put back right, but if yours is just a plain Jane cover like the one that's stock on this, make sure that you get it back to where it needs to be. So if you have to lay it a certain way or put a screw in the top screw hole on your cover right here, so put a screw in it, that way you know that, okay, that's the top. So if I stop fumbling over my words, that'd be great. And of course I already put the brand new gasket seal in here, so we are good to go there. The new screws that came with this do have a bit of a Loctite sealant on there. Honestly, I don't know if you necessarily have to, but I am going to add just a little bit to it. It's just medium strength, so if you need to take it apart, you can, and you're not going to break anything. Like I say, I'm not even doing a whole ton. I'm just doing enough to make sure that nothing's going to work out. And so putting this back together is kind of like putting a tire on a car. There's a star pattern that you're going to want to follow, and you can do that pattern just about any way you want. You can start here, here, whatever, but you want to go from here to here, and then from here to here, and so on. That way you're getting even pressure all the way around it. So if you want to make a star, pattern like this, that would be great. So I encourage you to do it that way. I am going to tighten this screw down just a little bit, not too much just yet anyway. We still got to get the rest of them in. Whoops. Like I say, not adding a ton of Loctite, just enough to get the job done. Because you are going to have to take this apart again eventually to do another one of these changes. Like I say, don't tighten it all the way down. Just get it tight enough to where it snugs up a little bit, but not a crazy amount. Because you want to apply even pressure to all of these, so you'll put these all in first, and then you'll go back over them and torque them down with a torque wrench using the correct specifications. And like I say, if you don't have a torque wrench, that's perfectly okay. Not everybody has one. But just remember, you don't want to overdo them, because you'll ruin things that way. Alrighty, so that's done and taken care of. We can go ahead now, tighten all this down. Like I say, don't overdo it, just do enough to where you can feel satisfied that it's not going to move. Alrighty, that's all there is to it. Because once you get your fluid even to the fill line where it needs to be, you go ahead and put your cover back on, and that should be good to go. That's all there really is to it. You can go ahead and lower the bike down, take it for a spin, and see how she does. So I think that's what we're going to do next. Well, I think that pretty much does it. I just took it out for a little bit of a spin on the town. Still dark out, it's like 5 in the morning, so I need to get to bed here soon so I can go to work at 3 in the afternoon. But took her out, topped off the tank with gas. I haven't seen any leaks yet. Everything seems to be shifting and running just fine. That new skull cover looks really, really good. And of course the floor underneath is completely clean, so if there's any leaks from the oil change or the primary change tonight, I'll definitely see them and I'll address it as appropriate. So the Loctite on those should be fine, since the new screws that they did send with that come with something on there, so I don't think that's going to affect anything. And it's only medium strength, so if you need to take it off, you can do so pretty easily without worrying about it getting stuck or really having the torque down on it. So if you guys are going to Sturgis, here in the next week or two. Do be safe, ride careful. A lot of crazies up there this time of year, so always have your head on a swivel and always keep watching. As for me, I'm going to go inside and get this mess cleaned up, take a shower and get to bed before work tomorrow afternoon. So you folks have a good one, ride safe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye.